Hello everyone, there was a massive update to Borderlands 4 today. I'm going to be breaking all of that down as there's some very exciting stuff happening, most notably for me, takedowns. This is actually insane. There's also some big changes to damage for guns, Vault Hunters, as well. They have made fixes to the overall class mods, which will now drop properly for your specific class. And they actually buffed a weapon's damage by 75%. So I guess first off, they made the first bounty pack here free for everyone, and they're adding in another content pack for those that have purchased the premium here. Now, what's cool about this is they are holiday themed and they're already in the game here. So as long as you just download the update here, you can see the different head choices. These are 4 different ones for each of the Vault Hunters, and there's going to be 4 different body choices as well. It is mentioned that the team realized there's more mayhem than time when it came to getting as much into Bounty Pack 1 as possible, so that's possibly why it is free, but it is nice that they're looking to add more endgame content, and that's really what this game really needs. So to start this DLC, you're actually just going to run to any major hub in the world here, and then there's just going to be this exclamation mark marking where you need to go find this gift to interact with. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll let you do the honors there. This also adds in a new category hub here right beside customization with the vault card. So here are the 4 different weapons that were added with this, and they have a bunch of different roles that can be added to them. So this is the Aching Royal here. So I think the Royal overheating prevents firing, and switching the modes will prevent your heat from building up. And you get the Hyperion, you can get the Hyperion shield on this, the Cov licensed magazine or Ripper parts. I will be testing these out to see how they stack up. We also got the Rooker sniper rifle here, and it has kinetic and shock damage with it also firing 2 needles that continuously home in on enemies you're aiming at, which is exciting because I love the Stray sniper rifle. So this sounds very similar to it with some elemental damage on top. I think this will be really good on a lot of different builds. It doesn't have the Jacobs parts, which the Stray does, which makes it possibly not as good, but it can charge up to 5 rounds at once. The Order, I don't love Order guns, but this one sounds kind of interesting with the auto aim. We also got the Hardpoint, which is another Torgue Stickies gun. So I can actually see this one being really good. It increased the damage by 5 each, so it shoots 5 rounds times 5. This could be actually really good on like a red Rafa skill tree with the Bullet Buddy Deluxe, or green Harlow builds. Even Amon could get good use out of this. It looks pretty interesting. And the Missile Laser Shotgun. So the underbarrel will shoot sticky grenade, and then the main fire will be a laser beam that'll detonate them each for 4,183 damage at level 50. Pretty interesting as well. I think the Hardpoint will be likely one of the best just due to how Torque Stickies are very powerful, especially if you can get that ammunition and fire rate buffs up, because then you can just literally shred down any boss in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5 and Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 coming next month. This is also where you'll be selecting the different types of cosmetics that you can unlock here. There's also some different gun skins, holiday themed like Silent Night, Holy Fight. It's the thought that counts. Mistletoe, Eat Me, so much more in the bag. Baby, you're cold inside. Yeah, you get the idea. But you got your different daily challenges here that you can go through, and then there's weekly ones as well to help you get these cards here, which will allow you to purchase these. And you can see the different amounts for each of these. So yeah, 5 cards per killing 20 enemies with a shock, and then you can purchase one of these. And if you want the other packs, you can get the Deluxe Edition or Super Deluxe Edition or Bounty Pack Bundle for the newly added 5th Bounty Pack. I think that's kind of nice. I am really excited about the takedowns because that's one of the things that I think this game really needs is some more end game content to, you know, play with friends. As right now, it's tough doing the vault bosses over and over again, wishing they were harder. Now, another massive change, they converted the Phosphene weapon challenge from a character-based profile to profile-wide progression. This is actually huge because I have 4 different characters, and it was kind of annoying getting Phosphene for one, not the other. And a nice dev note here, so this is long-term grind, is aimed at our most dedicated community members who invest the most time in the game. Still, we agree that completing this challenge is more a reflection of your dedication to the game and not to a specific Vault Hunter. This is the first example of allowing more progression to be shared between all characters in your account. The first example, so this could be potential that we could see some more changes. Maybe to the SDU, maybe somewhere else, specialization levels. I'm not too sure what this means, but it's cool to think about. And nice that they're listening. So another thing they've been listening about is class mods have been adjusted to drop more for your current character. I've tried it, and I've had a hard time finding my own character's class mod. It takes a lot of grinding. This is a very welcome change. Just great quality of life, as some of the grinds are kind of annoying, but I think this is well worth the, I think it's a nice change. Also, you no longer will be ping-ponged around when you're trying to revive your teammates, so you'll be sticking down to the ground a little bit more whenever you're trying to revive them, not getting swatted around by the boss as much. And reviving players temporarily given more mass, so that's why they will not be bouncing away as much. Kind of interesting is this is how Krieg worked when he was added to the game, is he was a heavier character that wouldn't get knocked around as much for his melee build to really work, so it's nice they're adding that when reviving. There were also some changes to how SDU tokens and specialization points worked. Now, I did actually have a bit of an issue here, which is weird. So I went to a bank and it got rid of all my bag slots. I actually restored to 16 of them. And then I just basically loaded out of my character, loaded back in, it was fine. So if you're affected by that, you may have to just reload your character and then it works as intended. The rest of these here are just major bug, or I guess quest fixes. You can pause it if you want, but I haven't really seen anything super notable here. But if you're experiencing any bugs, they may be fixed with these. So Amon got some pretty minor changes, but one of the biggest changes is the buff to ordnance damage, which we'll see in a moment here. But this now allows him to swap weapons after using his whip attack. So if you go with the Scourge blue skill tree, that was one weird thing, is if you're using your attack, it would have a really long lag before you could swap weapons, which is now fixed. Pretty crazy change. Exo Soldier Rafa, his Soldado skill kill passive has now been adjusted to function properly with 2 skill points. And this is what doubles all of his overdrive benefits. So yeah, this is going to be pretty crazy because Temerario adding a bunch of extra gun damage is going to go really hard with this doubling it now. A little bit of a nerf though to the Booming Business passive functionality to prevent grenade spawns when the passive skill exceeds his intended level cap. So if you're using class mod, this is now going to impact that. And they also did nerf Temerario to make it now, so it's just gun damage instead of just a general damage increase, which I guess is kind of fair if they're going to be buffing Soldado now because they kind of go hand in hand. Vex only got a change to a challenge track for target pre-signs here to pass only progressive when damaging valid targets there, so that's the gun critical hit just for the challenge. But I'm a little surprised we have not seen any updates for Prismatic Ichor here, which when Vex or minions applies a status effect, apply another random status effect with 30% of the initial status effect damage. I really want this to be fixed because I think this will be really good, but yeah, hasn't been fixed as of yet. Harlow got fixes to her stasis skill tree, which is her least used one, but it's now going to work properly and not lock her into it. And they also, and all Vault Hunters, adjusted critical hit calculation, so gun and enhancement damage now applies correctly to all valid hit regions. There was an issue with enhancements not properly applying their damage whenever you're getting critical hits, so this is going to fix that. Haven't noticed anything big yet, but could be on certain builds. And just other bug fixes like your action skill possibly not being able to be used, or if you're in Fight for Your Life and using the Guardian Angel Legendary Shield. Actually, a pretty big change here. Adjusted melee damage on bayonet weapons so the melee damage increases with bayonet parts. Melee builds are pretty weak so far, but this is a really welcome change. I was surprised that this actually, when you're using bayonet weapons, they didn't get extra damage buffs in this game, so that's really nice. They also updated beam weapons to do proper damage when thrown. They also fixed the Queen's Rest to getting hit like almost infinite size projectiles here, so that is good. The splash radius is now fixed, but the Scully Grenade is now adjusted projectile damage for consistent output. There was weird scaling on the Scully Grenade where it was good at a certain level and really bad the rest. Corrected boss health bar update, so sustained heavy ordnance damage with Amon now displays correctly. This is interesting because they buffed ordnance, so I'm curious to see how Amon's going to go. He's been pretty strong with his ordnance buffs. They also fixed some underbarrels, prevented bosses from floating when Booming Business passive was triggered with the Order Legendary Scully that new grenade just mentioned. I didn't get this to happen, but that does sound pretty funny. Oh, this is interesting. The heavyweight shield could lose functionality, which boosts your melee damage when using the Forge Knight Onslaught skill, which is melee damage focused. And they fixed some just general other things on guns. But a big thing here, the Darkbeast. I really like this gun. Address scaling issue, and also explosion chance has been increased from 5% to 20%, and damage increased by 15%. Now, the big thing with the Darkbeast is that its bullets will pierce enemies and now have a 20% chance. That's 4 times more likely to explode, dealing at 3,792 damage. This is what you want to have happen with it. You can also have a underbarrel or Cov License magazine on this. The Darkbeast I liked. I got one during my playthrough, and it's been pretty powerful as far as corrosive guns go. So this is a nice damage increase. Not the biggest damage increase we got today, but still really nice. And yeah, you're able to pierce with this. It shoots bursts. Like it reminds me of the doll weapons. This boss is immune to, or has a resistance to corrosive, and we're still doing decently respectable damage in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5. I'd like to see this against another boss that's got less resistances, but pretty nice to see overall. This got a damage buff. There's also increases to the Prince Harming here, and this got damage buff by 24% and also addressed the scaling issue. But the Onslaught got its overall damage increased by 75%. Now, this one here, there's a 30% chance for every bullet fire to deal extra damage and not consume ammunition. You can get this with the Jacob's License accessory and Cov License magazine. And when you shoot it, it swirls around. The bullet's kind of a weird pattern, but having the Jacob's License accessory on is nice. You can get a lot of criticals off with this, and it'll allow you to shoot a little bit past its overheating there. But yeah, it's still going to be probably a pretty weak gun. I'm sure that there's a way that it could be strong, maybe in a different setup. Having the Jacob's parts makes it nice, but yeah, it's kind of lackluster compared to some of the other. I still think that adding a 75% damage buff is nice. Ruby's Grasp, kind of crazy, got a 40% damage buff as well. And the Lucky Clover got their damage buff by 37.5%. And the Moose Sniper got theirs boosted by 20%. Asher's Rise also got their scaling fixed and a 5% damage buff. But yeah, I like to see these big number buffs. We've seen like certain skills get 100% damage buff, like Amon's blue skill tree in the past. So that's nice. Now, one of the biggest changes is the firmware for Get Throwin'. This is nuts. Previously, it just gave you a 10% buff to your ordnance damage. Now, it's 35%. Why is ordnance damage so crazy? Well, heavy ordnance get buffed from gun damage and ordnance damage. So adding anything else to them is just absurd for their scaling. I think this is a cool buff, though. Ordnance ammo is going to be great. And also, we got the Dead Die O here. Damage increased to 35% and mag size increased to 20%. Rubber Band Man got the damage reduction, and Lifesteal was increased to now 10%, which is a good number for Lifesteal. Jacked also got their zoom in speed and other bonuses here. The Atlas X got their mode swap, switch speeds. You can see all the rest here. There's nothing as big, obviously, as Get Thrown's ordnance damage buff. So yeah, this is nice to see the changes there. They also made some changes to the UI and text. You can just pause this here. I haven't found anything super notable, but there was a nice change in the game. So whenever you're in game and you got a legendary, it'll help you see it a little bit better. We maybe get a mini map type deal going on. They're making it a little bit easier on the UI, so that's great. There's also a bunch of visual fixes here. Could be applicable to you. Nothing super notable for myself. And also some audio changes. But I've seen some people still experience the loud, weird noises that can happen in this game. So yeah. A cool change, though, is PlayStation 5 controllers. The LEDs are now changed to match your elemental type. So kind of similar to how we got ourselves trouble here matching our elemental types. I think this is one of my favorite features. So great if you're gaming at nighttime. Yeah, nice change. Also fixed an issue with adaptive triggers. In some other games that I cover, there's been issues with adaptive triggers, so that's nice to see. We also got our new weekly Encore boss, so if you want to get yourself a hot slugger, this is the time to do it. Callous Harbinger of Annihilating Death is now the weekly Encore. And the wildcard mission here can give yourself a Lucky Clover with their nice damage buff. Maurice's Black Market, this is the location. But yeah, I'm really happy that we got this for free here. Excited there's going to be another DLC pack and takedowns. That's the most exciting thing for me, honestly. If you don't know what a takedown is, it was from Borderlands 3. Basically like a 40 to 50 minute long raid. You would fight against multiple waves of enemies. So it's kind of a combination of mobbing and bossing. Really fun, challenging. Some of actually the hardest content the game had to offer. So we're also going to be getting a new boss coming here in December. So we'll be posting about that when it happens. Looking forward to it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hope you have a great day and we'll catch you all in the next one.